All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I'm going to give all praises to the Heavenly Father and His only begotten Son, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rakakadash. Double honor to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, and peace, love, and salutation to all you Akim that's pushing this truth and truth sincerity. I don't know what I'm going to title this lesson. Either it can be the children of Israel and the children of Judah were oppressed together, part 2, or another video on the Hopeful Year of Jacob's Trouble, because we see these. You see what's on the screen. All right, you know the World Cup is over. Now back to reality for a lot of you people, man. All right, the bread and circus of Babylon with the World Cup, all right, is gone. All right, Argentina lost, which I was glad Argentina lost, man. You know, I'm not an Argentina fan, but nevertheless, all right, you see what's going on, and I want to highlight a video because I want to highlight a video that I did with the brothers Karatazah, the officer Karatazah, and the priest One. We did a lesson 7 months ago, Operation Swamp Sweep, where it says around 250 federal border agents are expected to launch month-long immigration enforcement operation on a swamp sweep beginning Monday across southeast Louisiana and parts of Mississippi. And this was 7 months ago. So this is basically at the top of the year. And I remember we did that lesson. So there's a lot of reoccurring things that's happening, but the people are really blinded and distracted because ICE is still, we've been saying that for months. ICE is still behind the scenes locking these people up. All right, don't just think they just did their little swamp sweep and alligator Alcatraz. No, they out here. All right, and for you so-called Latinos, man, it's time to be a little bit more prudent. So this is Jeremiah 50:33. Thus saith the Lord of hosts, the children of Israel, which is the northern kingdom, which consists of you so-called Hispanics, so-called Latinos, so-called Mexicans, so-called Native American and Seminole Indians. All right, the northern kingdom, and the children of Judah, you so-called Negroes, West Indians, and Haitians. And even you Haitians are, so-called Haitians are in a time of trouble, man. I want to get something. It was something as far as the Haitians. Haitians, bear with me 1 sec. I'm kind of just thinking in the middle of this lesson. Just type this up. Haitians immigration status. Let me see. Let's go to this article. Because we're in the time of Jacob's trouble, man. These tribes, as we keep telling you, are being targeted by the so-called white man, Esau Edom. Families brace for separation as Haitians set to lose protected status next week. And this is from July 24th, today, 2026 at 1:36 a.m. All right? So, hey, you Southern Kingdom Jays too, man. All right? And, hey, this is how the devil works, man. That's why you gotta be circumspect, because they can mistake one of our, they can mistake somebody for being a Haitian, man. All right, we're in a time of Jacob's trouble. A Supreme Court ruling stripped Haitian migrants of their temporary legal status. Those with U.S.-born children face an agonizing choice if deported. Should they take them to a still dangerous Haiti? And Haiti is still effed up, man. That's why ain't no GMS Haiti. Certain cities, man, it's like there's no. The Lord probably had it to where ain't gonna be no fruit there, man. That's why ain't no GMS camp in Cincinnati, Ohio, that godforsaken city. But nonetheless, this is also affecting the children of Judah, you so-called Negroes, West Indians, and Haitians. So Jeremiah 50:33, thus saith the Lord of hosts, the children of Israel and the children of Judah were oppressed together, and all that took them captives. Who are those that took them captives? Esau, Edom. and also these other nations. And all that took them captives held them fast. They refused to let them go. They say, "Oh, go back to Africa, you monkey." All right, if we went back to Africa, man, this civilization known as Babylon the Great would not be upheld, man. All right, from the northern kingdom to the southern kingdom, they're upholding this place. Okay, and that's just biblical prophecy. We got to be delivered from the country of the north. So I'm gonna get this video. This is from Arrows of Indignation. Eve from the Northern Kingdom gives her testimony of detention centers' living conditions. All right, let's play this right quick.
I was detained by ICE during my green card interview, and I'm going to talk about the conditions of the detention center and the processing site where I was held at, and specifically the water situation. I want to start this off by saying that water is a basic human right, and even though the people that were detained, were in this prison, were these criminals, we still deserve access to water. Right after I got detained, I spent 3 hours in a van waiting to be transported to the processing center, which is in the Federal Building in downtown San Diego. Once I was at the processing center, they put me in a cell and they gave me a regular plastic water bottle, which I ended up drinking about this much before they transferred me to a cell right next to the cell I was in and made me throw it away because they said that I wasn't allowed to take my water bottle in there. Once I got to the second cell, there was a metal toilet and a metal sink in there, but the faucet wasn't working, so there was no water coming out of the sink. After a couple hours, one of the guards came in and I asked him if I could have another water bottle, and he pointed to the sink and said there's water right there. And I told him the sink wasn't working, so there was no water coming out. And he rolled his eyes and said that if he got me water, that meant he had to get everybody else in the cells water, and he's too busy and doesn't have time for that. So he left, and a couple hours later, he did end up coming back with a water bottle. So I did drink about this much again because I was rationing it. I didn't know how long I was going to have this water bottle for. Around 30 minutes after I got the water bottle, they said it was time for dinner, and if I wanted to eat dinner, they were going to move me to another cell right next door. And when I was walking to that cell, they made me throw away the water bottle because they said I couldn't take it into the new cell. After that, I finally got moved to the last and final cell before being transferred to Otay Mesa Detention Center. And in that cell, the sink was working a little bit, like the water was coming out of the faucet a little bit, so you could kind of cup your hand and drink the water. But at this point, I had used the restroom and there is no toilet paper or soap for you to wash your hands with, so I decided I did not want to drink the water out of my hand. Once I was transferred to the Otay Mesa Detention Center, it was the same situation. You're just put in a cell with a metal toilet and a metal sink that barely works, and no cups and no water bottles. When I got to my cell of the detention center, there is one sink with drinkable water for 150 women. And I asked one of the other girls that was detained if she knew where I could get a cup or I could get something to drink water with, and she said that there isn't any. I got to the detention center Tuesday.
So, yeah, it's been known too. I'm getting into this article. It's been known too. A lot of you so-called Latino women getting impregnated by these ICE so-called workers, man. And this lady, I'm just saying, she looks kind of like Cuban. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying, speculating. She either looks Cuban or Venezuelan. A lot of you Cubans, man, you went to go vote for this Nero 47. Now look at you, man. And a lot of you Cubans are getting deported back to Cuba. And Cuba's all jacked up. All right? So bad that Cubans, going to Guyana. You know what I'm saying? They're going to South America to escape Cuba. All right? It's damn near Jacob's trouble on the island of Cuba, man. This is Jeremiah 30:7. Alas, for that day is great, so that none is like it. It is even the time of Jacob's trouble. We've been telling you Hispanics and Native Americans and Seminole Indians what the business is according to the Bible, man. This man hates your guts. Okay? The same thing that's been happening to the so-called black man in America. Now you so-called Latinos, so-called Hispanics, All right, so-called Native American Indians, because they coming after you too. Here it is. This is this is this is your land, and they trying to remove you from your land. This is the devil that we're talking about. I mean, when are you so-called Latinos and so-called Native Americans and Seminole Indians gonna realize that this man is the devil? I mean, I don't know how many times we gotta reiterate it. Okay, and you can go to YouTube and closed caption this lesson and listen to it in Spanish. Okay, how do I say it in Spanish? El Gringo es Diablo. Okay, El Blanco es Diablo. All right, El Blanco. El Hombre Blanco es El Diablo. Okay, that's my little Spanish lesson, man. I'm trying to work on it. But it says, alas, for that day is great, so that none is like it. It is even the time of Jacob's trouble, but he shall be saved out of it. That's talking about the elect. And Lord willing, we're part of that number, because, hey, we might be put in some of these sinners, but the Lord is going to lift up a standard. Matter of fact, I'm going to get that right quick. Isaiah 59:19. All right? And that's where having faith comes into play. Because watching these videos with these testimonies of this woman, that could very well be us. And what are we going to do? We're going to put our trust in the Lord, and, we're going to basically, we're going to read this scripture. This scripture is going to play out, all right, in that time. Isaiah 59:19. So shall they fear the name of the Lord from the west. And we're on the west, and his glory from the rising of the sun. When the enemy shall come in like a flood. All right, that's going into Esau coming in. All right, time of Jacob's trouble. It ain't gonna be no normal days. Here today is Friday. A lot of people getting geared up for the weekend. It's not gonna be like that. These times are changing, and these times are moving fast. It says, the Spirit of the Lord shall lift up a standard against him. All right, and let's get this word standard. Just right quick. All right, that word, I'm not going to let Esau play it. I'll let him play the Greek, but this word is H5127. Excuse me. Nawas. It says to flee, escape, to take flight, depart, disappear, to fly, to the attack on horseback. So the Lord's going to have it to where it says to cause, to disappear, to hide. So you have to believe in them times if we are in these camps. All right, the Lord's going to lift up a standard. All right, and these are just testimonies, because time's about to get worse. All right, let's continue to play this young lady.
Tuesday morning, and the only way to get a cup is to order one and buy one from the commissary, and that is a whole other video. But basically the commissary, you order it Sunday morning and it arrives Tuesday morning. So I was gonna have to wait a week to be able to order a cup to drink water from. In the meantime, one of the other girls that was detained gave me a little plastic Dixie cup about this big. When you take medication, you have to go to the pill line, so you have to go to another cell, and you get a little tiny Dixie cup of water this big. They give you your medication and you drink it, and you're normally supposed to throw away the cup, but this girl had taken the cup with her and brought it with her, and so when I told her that I was thirsty, she kindly gave me her little tiny plastic Dixie cup, and that is what I used for the entire week to drink water.
So, imagine at the time of Jacob's trouble, man. Imagine these people can't get their pharmakia, all right, their prescription drugs. And then you wonder why the apostle and elders say, get on top of your health. Be your own so-called doctor. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of these people, a lot of these jakes, man, they're hooked on prescription pills when you can follow the natural route, all right? Starting from our apostles and elders, we've been talking about the bitter herbs for years, all right? taking the bitter herbs. I got something right here in my room that's basically a kidney detox. It'll flush you out. It'll have your heart rate. It'll have your blood pressure so-called normal. Excuse me. That's a side note. So imagine that time when these people cannot go to CVS or Walgreens or whatever Pharmacia store is in Babylon the Great. These people are gonna bug out, man. Okay, these people will not be able to get their Starbucks, because I like coffee just like the next person, but some days I'm like, nah, I'm good. Okay, some people, they want their sugar, they gonna want cookies, they gonna want their pizza. So imagine all hell breaking loose, man, where these people cannot get what they want. So imagine in your head these things that are coming down the pipeline, man. All right, these people being locked up, these people gonna start bugging out, man. All right. So I'm gonna get to this article. This is from CBS News. More people booked into So Icy Boy detention in June than in any month since crackdown began. And like I said, me and the brothers, we did that less than 7 months ago. So 7 months later, they doing a lot of crackdowns, more than any other month. More than 43,000 people were booked into immigration detention in June, the highest monthly total since Nero 47 returned to office. Like I said, a lot of you so-called Latinos voted for this guy. You can't trust the devil. Okay, like it says in Never Trust Thine Enemy. You thought you was white. Well, you're getting your Spanish nigga wake up moment, man. All right, and I'm not going to go too deep in because I would love to. But for the sake of this lesson, man, it says the highest monthly total since Nero 47 returned to office. Newly released immigration and ICE custom enforcement data shows. The uptick follows increased pressure from the White House on ICE to increase arrests, with agents being instructed to target 2,000 arrests per day. And that's what comes to being circumspect, man, because, I'm pretty sure they're catching these people off guard. These Latinos might be at like Club La Noche, okay? And then here comes ICE, boom. And then all of a sudden, you find yourself in the cell. It says, with agents being instructed to target 2,000 arrests per day, sources inside ICE previously told CBS News, June's arrest total averages out to 1,438 arrests per day, and data for the first 11 days on July averages to 1,593 arrests per day. A DHS spokesman said ICE does not have arrest quotas. ICE arrests have continued without the large-scale, highly publicized operations like those previously carried out in Minneapolis. See, a lot of people forgot about Minneapolis, where that so-called white man got shot by ICE. Let's look this dude's name up, because I forgot. Like I said, the World Cup here in America distracted a lot of stuff that's really going on. Behind closed doors, they're locking people up by the droves, man. Okay, and you foreigners that came over here, you so fascinated by ranch and fast food. All right, man, this place is nothing but hell for so-called Black, Hispanics, and Native Americans. But the most, you people come over here, you Edomites and you other nations come over here, you eat Chick-fil-A, and you're probably having withdrawals right now. You know what I'm saying? Probably having, it's 11:44. You're probably having Chick-fil-A and McDonald's and Arby's and Little Caesars withdrawals, because they don't serve that crap over there. All right, this is Babylon the Great, man. Scriptures say we would eat our bread defiled amongst the Gentiles, man. So a lot of you people that went back to where you came from during the World Cup, you probably shaking like Pookie from New Jack City, having withdrawals, man. Okay, let's look at this guy. Man, shot. A lot of people forgot about this. The Lord be turning up the first part of the year, and He keeps it going. Alex Preddy, where's the uproar now? Where's the uproar in Minnesota now over this guy? What I'm saying, these bread and circuses, man. Now you got LaMelo Ball playing with Anthony Edwards up there in Minnesota, and people just forgot about what's going on. The Minnesota Twins are still playing. The Minnesota Vikings, they got Kyler Murray. If I'm saying that dude's name is right. Excuse me. Football season is coming up, bro. The next couple of weeks is gonna be preseason. People soon to forget about this stuff, man. On January 24th, 2026, damn near 7 months. Man, that's 7 months ago. A 37-year-old ICU nurse was shot and killed by a Border Patrol agent in Minneapolis during an immigration enforcement operation. The incident occurred amid ongoing protests against federal immigration actions in the area. All right? Yeah, that was that man that got shot, and people forget about it. It says, ICE arrests have continued without the large-scale, highly publicized operations like those previously carried out in Minneapolis, Chicago, Los Angeles, and other cities. Monthly arrest totals declined after the Minnesota crackdown. Operation Metro Surge wound down in February, but has since rebounded. So, outside the media hoopla, all right, because they can create these scenarios, man. Like, I believe this Nolan Wells thing was set up. It's a psyop. The more I think about it, I did a lesson on it, but I think that might just be a psyop to play on the people's minds, man. All right. It says even as ICE officers, fatal shootings of 2 men during vehicle stops in Texas and Maine, which I did a lesson on that last week. All right, you had that man in Texas that got shot. All right. It says this month brought a wave of fresh scrutiny on immigration enforcement tactics. Administration officials have indicated that the deportation efforts will continue. ICE isn't leaving the streets at all. Border czar Tom Homan said on Fox News on Monday. So they're just going to continue with the agenda, okay? And just we've been saying to come back to the God of the Bible, all right, and His only begotten Son. You see on the screen it says families use food banks and amid high grocery prices. There's a lot of things that's going on, all right? A lot of food insecurity, the cost of fuel is going up. All right, so we're in them times, man. All right? And it's important for you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans to realize you're behind enemy lines. The God of the Bible, Yahweh, Bahashim Yahweh Shah, is sending these plagues. So I'm going to just end it off with a precept right quick. Let's go to 2 Ezra 15 and 49. But it's so much going on. This World Cup is over. All right, the World Cup is over. All these distractions. Well, they're gonna give you more They're gonna give you people more distractions in the midst of famine. All right, in the midst of chaos. And that's just how America runs, man. 2 Ezra 15. Second Ezra 15 and verses 49. It reads, I will send plagues upon the widowhood. All right. And a lot of you men are going to start getting drafted, man. Me and another brother could come to the lesson how it's going to be an automatic draft from the ages of 18 to 25. But the brother Nathaniel has said basically 18 to 43. All right. You women out there that's acting proud, like you got it going on. And even in the midst of this, you women are still acting like I'm a boss. I got to go to work today. And I got to go deal with the nigga woman. Yes, the black woman. Talking about I'm a boss, I'm this, I'm that. Bitch, wait till this happens. Excuse my Brazilian Portuguese, but you women, you just think, you're just like when the Most High created you, it was just a special day. All right, you gonna get trampled over in these days, man. We keep telling you women to come back and be up under a man, but that you black women and some of you Hispanic women are still drinking that I don't need a man, I'm independent juice. Okay, wait. You thought I'm guessing this woman right here was probably one of them. Cause a lot of you Hispanic women, you be on that black woman spirit too. I don't need a man. You just using a man. You just using him for his money. What happens when you get locked up in an ICE detention center? And this lady, she probably ain't telling the whole nine. She probably got touched up in there. All right. Rise up, you women that are at ease, man. That's just a side note. All right. Mouth all wide open. I will send plagues upon thee, widowhood, poverty. Man, there's a lot of homeless people even in the suburbs right now, man. I seen them. I went to go grocery shopping on Sunday of this week. I turned around the corner, some man talking about I'm hungry. Even in the suburbs, famine, lack of food, food insecurity. Okay, people aren't eating like they used to. Sword and pestilence. People, man, it's something going around out here, man. To where, hey, I don't know if they're releasing the COVID, you know, the boogeyman of people getting sick, certain brothers getting sick. That's why you gotta continue to pray for brothers. You got this diarrhea, I can't even pronounce it. What it's called with a C. You know, there's all types of stuff going on out here, man. To waste thy houses with death and destruction. So that's basically it, man. You know, this is the times that we in. You know, basically at the halfway point. Next month is gonna be August. You know what I'm saying? And then football season come in. Then these holidays come in. All right, the Lord's gonna bring more of this. He's gonna bring more of the widowhood, poverty, famine, sword, and pestilence, man. So high time to wake out of sleep. We've been telling you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans of this destruction that's to come. All right, and even it's going to affect you other nations and your friendly so-called white man that you love so goddamn much. He's gonna get affected by it too, and you're gonna really see this man's horns when there's a lack of bread out here, the lack of food. He's really gonna turn up on you tribes. So with that, I'm gonna say shalom.